Welcome to my e-portfolio. My name is Brittney Rupert, and I'm looking forward to sharing some key learnings from my experience in the Master's of Science Education Curriculum and Instruction program at the University of Kansas. I'm originally from a small town called Marysville, Kansas, in the northeast corner, but I'm currently living in Redondo Beach, California, where I work as a lead science curriculum specialist for Green Dot Public Schools in Los Angeles. In this role, I'm responsible for developing science curriculum for the district aligned to NGSS, developing and facilitating professional development for new teachers and other variety of audiences, and for providing coaching for district science teachers. We also provide other services to our schools on a needs basis. A little bit about Green Dot. We are an independent nonprofit public school that operates in Los Angeles and is focused on serving the highest needs students across LA and preparing them for college leadership and life as part of our mission. Though I'm not currently working as a classroom teacher, I do hold a cleared secondary biological sciences credential. This is my third year outside of the classroom as a curriculum specialist, but prior to this role, I taught biology, AP biology, anatomy, physiology, and health in two of our Green Dots high schools. And as a teacher, I held many leadership roles for the school and for the district that inspired me to expand my impact beyond my own classroom. And I really feel as though the knowledge and skills that I've gained in this program has transformed my disposition as a teacher, something that I think is constantly transforming as I learn more about the field, but it's definitely had an incredible impact on my current work as a curriculum specialist. And so before taking a deeper dive into some of the artifacts that represent my learning from the course, I want to quickly draw your attention to a couple of other features of my e-portfolio. In case you're interested. So if you'd like to find more about my previous work as a classroom instructor or my current work as a curriculum specialist, you can click on the About Me tab and you'll see my resume. You'll also see a little bit about my educational beliefs and what has gone into developing those beliefs as well. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about the graduate courses within this program, that tab is there. But I'm going to go ahead and direct us to the Evidence of Learning tab. So here is the compiled list of all of the artifacts that I have put together that I think demonstrate my proficiency of the 7 standards set by the Council for accreditation of educator preparation. Specifically for the next few moments, I'm going to target us on Standard 1.6 on assessment, to discuss how those artifacts in particular have impacted my role as a curriculum specialist. And so while I feel as though any of the artifacts from any of the 7 areas of my portfolio would be a comprehensible demonstration of my newly gained knowledge and skills in this program, those that are of highest priority as they relate to my current work are those that are under this particular standard. And this particular standard cites that candidates document using multiple measures, creating a supportive learning environment that contributes to an expected level of P through 12 student learning growth. There are 3 particular artifacts that sort of stand out as showcasing my competency of this standard, because I think they really connect well to the 3 pillars of my work as a curriculum specialist, which is professional development, curriculum, and coaching. Currently, I'm responsible for helping transform Green Dot's science program to ensure that all students have access to an equitable science education. And so these artifacts, I feel, showcase the relevancy to my work in doing just that and in transforming my district science program. And so let's take a look at the first of these artifacts. This is the capstone project from the Curriculum and Teaching 801 course, which was around planning for school improvement. The course really focused on an exploration of the essential components of a school improvement plan to support school reform. And so the capstone project specifically required students to develop an improvement plan for their current educational setting. And given that my current work involves reforming our district science program to ensure alignment to the next generation science standards, I thought that it would be most appropriate for me to develop a science improvement plan for my district instead of a specific school improvement plan. So last year, my colleagues and I designed common science performance tasks that were aligned to the Next Gen Science standards, as well as some Common Core literacy standards that were a focus of the district. And we piloted these in high school biology, chemistry, and physics. At the time of developing this plan, we hadn't yet analyzed the data from these performance tasks. So I thought that that would be a perfect place to start, as this assignment required the use of triangulated data to make decisions about the improvement plan. And so specifically, I zoomed in on the student performance data surrounding the Common Core reading and science writing standards that we focused on, as well as 2 science and engineering practices that our district focused on last year, which were modeling and engaging in argument from evidence. Because literacy was such a common focus around the science department and just the district in general, I also wanted to include data from some walkthroughs that we actually conducted last year to determine the level of literacy that was being embedded in our science classrooms. And you can see that data here in this chart. Another part that was required for the development of the school improvement plan, of the science improvement plan in my case, was developing an additional tool that would give us more data on kind of our area of focus. And so I specifically centered on, again, literacy in the classroom with 2 surveys. One student survey to attain more information regarding students' experience with writing or literacy in their science classrooms, and then one teacher survey to kind of examine teacher preparedness to actually facilitate the literacy in their classroom. And so the second part of this assignment was to then develop a SMART goal based on an analysis of that triangulated data. And so the SMART goal that I created for our science improvement plan was that by the end of this year, the 2016-2017 school year, Green Dot students will score an average of 60% on the Common Core writing standard, as evidenced by performance on the quarter 3 performance task in biology, physics, and chemistry. And then we needed to create 3 benchmarks to sort of track progress towards this overall goal. And so the benchmarks were based on our first benchmark based on our quarterly common district science assessments. Benchmark 2 was based on continued walkthroughs to look for the frequency of writing opportunities in science classrooms. And benchmark 3 was sort of a new component to look at professional development data to determine how prepared teachers felt to actually implement the literacy strategies that we were covering in professional development. And so then, utilizing what I had learned about the effective components of a school improvement plan from the School Improvement Planning Handbook, as well as guiding principles for the implementation of NGSS as outlined in the California framework, I outlined specific steps to be taken to implement the improvement plan, the different persons responsible for each step, resources needed, and a timeline for conducting each step and for monitoring the implementation of that step as well. The assignment culminated with a quick discussion of the rationale for the steps outlined in the improvement plan. My colleagues and I are actually in the middle of implementing this plan as we're slowly getting the data to roll in from our quarter 3 performance tasks. And so we're excited to take a look at the data to determine the successes of our improvement plan and continued areas of growth. And then from there, I intend to apply a similar approach to create revisions to this plan. So the second artifact that I'm going to discuss that represents my ability to use multiple measures to guide the improvement of curriculum and instruction is the EQUIP review process conducted in the Curriculum and Teaching 802 course on curriculum planning for educational settings. This assignment began as a group project, and our group actually decided to evaluate a math lesson from Achieve's website. They have some training materials available, so we decided to take a look at the math specifically. And so we first engaged in the EQUIP review process as a group with the goal of discussing and norming on the evaluation of specific components of the unit. The individual part of the assignment that's highlighted in this particular artifact that you see here represents my own individual EQUIP evaluation, as well as a critique of the full EQUIP review process. In this assignment, I first introduce the focus of my review and a brief overview of the unit. I then summarize the unit, summarize my review, of the unit using the EQUIP rubric that included my overall rating and recommendation of the quality and alignment of the unit to the Common Core standards. Finally, the assignment included my own personal critique of the process and how I might envision using this process in my own educational setting. The EQUIP review process itself requires the use of multiple measures to ensure alignment of units to the Common Core, or in my case, the Next Generation Science Standards. And so some of these measures specifically include alignment to the Common Core depth, or NGSS depth, evidence of key Common Core shifts, instructional supports, and the assessment of student learning plan. When curriculum meets these measures, better student learning can then occur. And so now that there's an EQUIP rubric to evaluate alignment of curriculum to the Next Generation Science Standards, the process will actually be utilized in my current role as a curriculum specialist as we evaluate our own curriculum or evaluate a publisher's curriculum that we may want to adopt. Also exciting is I recently attended a training on the NGSS EQUIP rubric, and it helped further my understanding of how the process is going to apply to science. And my team and I are currently working on a plan to utilize the process in our district. And so engaging in this process on the math lesson helped give me a context going into that training, and it was nice to have an experience with one of the rubrics already to sort of ground me in that experience. And so the last artifact that I selected to represent my competency of this standard relates to my coaching and professional development as a curriculum specialist. And so for the Curriculum and Teaching 803 course, we explored various strategies that teachers can use to differentiate curriculum instruction for their students. And so this artifact actually represents a work of a group that investigated the instructional strategy of complex instruction. Though we had been introduced to the concept of complex instruction prior to this assignment, the assignment really required us to collaborate and research the strategy further to develop a presentation that would actively engage our peers in learning more about complex instruction. And so this assignment was submitted in two parts, beginning with the creation of a call to action or some sort of active task our peers could engage in, as well as an outline of the presentation and some questions that would relate to our strategy. And we experienced that just as for any successful professional development, multiple pieces of valid data or research must be considered during the development process. And so for this assignment, my group and I utilized research on effective professional development strategies and research on complex instruction to develop the details of our presentation. And so not only were multiple sources used in the development of this presentation on complex instruction, but the strategy itself requires consideration of multiple measures for effective implementation. For example, a teacher would need to consider student learning styles, student interests, and various data points on students' academic strengths and areas of growth when implementing this strategy. The execution of this assignment will help me develop skills relevant to my current work in a couple of different ways. First, I gain more experience with using multiple measures to develop PD for teachers, and I also gain new knowledge of how teachers can use this particular strategy, and that will help me as I coach teachers to differentiate for their diverse population of learners. As of now, I intend to continue my work as a curriculum specialist for the next few years because the transition to NGSS is complex work, and I want to ensure that I am helping support the reform of our district science program along the way. The coursework in this program has definitely helped prepare me to lead this transition to the Next Generation Science Standards by developing my ability to create an improvement plan using triangulated data, carefully being able to review curriculum for alignment to NGSS so that it maximizes student learning, and to develop and lead professional development grounded in research and data. as well as coaching teachers to deliver effective science instruction that meets the needs of culturally and linguistically diverse learners. I hope you've learned a little bit about me and the knowledge and skills that I gained throughout this program and how they apply to my current role as a curriculum specialist. I definitely enjoyed learning in this program, and I look forward to applying it more in the future in my role as a curriculum specialist and whatever the future may bring me in the field of education as well.